David, the best thing I can do with AI in meetings is make sure it knows who is actually speaking.
That's a good tip. All right, Doug, give me some bad advice on dealing with AI in meetings.
Talking about your personal problems and probably your boss.
There you go. All right, one up him. Joe, give me some worse advice on dealing with AI in meetings.
Use AI in meetings as gotchas in other meetings. When you say, hey, you said this the other week because I have it right here in my AI meeting summary. People really hate that.
Let's begin.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
Hope those levels aren't too high because we didn't test them before the show. Are these levels good? What do you say, Joe? Give me a thumbs up. It's good or bad? Good? It's bad.
You're a little
Too high or too low?
Too low.
Too low. Let me bring them up. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Now they're too low. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's topic, hacking AI in meetings, an hour of critical thinking about how to avoid liability while getting value from your recordings. All right. Let's just go through the basics here. Hey, who were we just talking to? Doug Mayer, who's the VP and CISO over at WCG, and also Joe Essenfeld, who's the CEO and co-founder, but I like to say the better of the co-founders, over at Fora. I just want to make sure your co-founders hear that. Feel free to pull that clip out. Hey, Fora is our sponsor for today's episode. We're thrilled. Brand new sponsor of the CISO series, and we're thrilled they're here. And in fact, they've got a pretty darn cool tool that they've gotten. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the show. All right. Lots of ways to participate. Here's the big difference for those of you regulars. We are not playing Best Bad Idea. We are playing different games today. In fact, we're going to be playing 2 games via Kahoot. This platform, it's really cool. It allows us to do that, and I'll explain in just a second. But we have the chat room. We do want your 10% better tips. So hashtag 10P, how to best leverage the value of your recording. So we want to hear your tips. If you'd like to come on camera at any time, just type bring me on. We'll try to get you on. Ask questions of our guests. In fact, there's an icon, if you see up on the right, where you can click on that and ask questions, or you can turn any comment into a question. And you can also vote for your favorite question as well. All right, here's our schedule today. You saw the good advice, bad advice, worse advice. We do want to hear how to best leverage the value of your recordings. In fact, you can just do that through the entire time. We'll play the public interest, but we're going to play it through Kahoot so we can all play simultaneously and find out who the true winner is. Also, we're going to play the Cyber Vendor Logo game, a brand new game. Looking forward to you being there. And then we'll have a last question to answer, and then we will do our meetup. So what you will do is you will stay exactly where you are. This event will end, and then you'll see a countdown, 10, 9, 8, and you'll get thrown into these meeting rooms of which you can move in and out. If you've never done it before, it's a lot of fun because we get to meet each other face to face. Quickly, our next show will be next Friday, Hacking Managed Services, an hour of critical thinking about what questions to ask when you're looking for a provider. And here, you're in luck because you can register for it. It's right there at the top of the screen. You can do that, but I will also post it in just a second as well. And then stick around for our meetup, which I just described, which will be at the tail end of the show as well. All right. So, yes, you should see at the top of your chat window the Hacking Managed Services. You can click that register now. It will open up another window. We will not take you out of this. You'll be completely in this, but we will have the other window open and you can be chatting in that as well. All right. Let's get into our discussion. I teased essentially a little bit about what we're talking about when we talk about AI in meetings, but let's just clarify what that means, Doug, and why this is important. So I'll start with you.
No, I think it's important to cover this topic because AI meeting tools definitely capture a lot that you don't intended to mention. So it becomes a source of what we call shadow data. So I would think that there's a challenge there if you don't realize you're being recorded word for word, and it could be used or against you from a liability, or used to capture message inappropriately. So,
okay, and then Joe, how would you define this issue of AI in meetings being an issue?
So it's just a new frontier of data capture, and we don't realize how different what we say is versus what we write. Because when you think about before this technology existed, your opinion was something that was subjective. But when you're recorded in a meeting saying something, that subjective nature, which is all very important in a business context, goes away. And it can be very black and white, and it can also be very easily misconstrued.
It also, I would just say that usually when we're in meetings, we kind of say a lot of things and we don't think much of it, and we think it goes into the ether and disappears. But once it's being transcribed, put into the corporate database and stuff, it's a whole new thing, isn't it now, Doug? Like, it isn't just to say, hey, warning everybody, this is being recorded. It's like everyone needs to understand what that means. What does that mean, Doug?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a possibility of capturing something you didn't intend for that group. We've seen this with text messaging. We've seen this with DMs and Teams, and now you got recorded meetings that might be misused or might be saying too much to the wrong people. Um, this really becomes a governance issue and a training issue that we need to make sure that people are thinking clearly about what they're talking about on a recorded meeting or an AI meeting that's taking notes and logging the discussion.
Yeah.
Um,
And and please add to that, Joe, because the what does that mean is really the issue here because it means a lot that people just don't get.
Yeah,
Joe?
I think for what's been interesting for us is that the splintered nature of the recorded meetings has made it even more difficult to wrangle. Like you said earlier, David, your meeting's recorded into the corporate database. I actually think that's a better scenario than what reality is, which is your meeting's recorded by 4 different people's individual meeting recorders that are insecure on their individual laptops in their own personal clouds and could be used by a competitor. So that's what I'm more afraid of, because companies don't want to play gotcha or big brother for the most part.
Hmm.
So it's the fragmented nature, I think, is the biggest pressing problem of this data right now.
Yes. And then, and I'm going to do it sort of like as a list. There is what you just described. It's being used in multiple locations. B, people don't realize that now what's recorded is now company corporate record, whether it's in something official or not. Um, there's the other issue of people being a little bit more casual in meetings that they would or would not be. Um, the fact that we're having more of these virtually, digitally, and it's being recorded, and the fact that it could have some essentially privacy issue concerns and also corporate information, sensitive company information issues that could be used by a competitor or someone malicious in that case. So there's a lot of things that, like, prior to doing this, just did not exist at all.
Yep.
Jump in.
yeah, it's like data sprawl will increase, right, if you don't
Right.
control it. So
Yeah, and I think Doug nailed it early when he said shadow data. I'm not
That's a good
obviously
way of putting it. Yeah.
with our company. We're believers that eventually most meetings are going to be recorded and it's going to be useful and okay. But I think there's this interesting mentality, and I've heard this a lot from GCs and other CISOs, that they'd rather keep it in the shadows for now. We know it's happening. They're estimating maybe a quarter of their meetings are being recorded, and they'd rather just have published policies and not have to deal with leave it in the shadows. And I just think that's what's changing. And there'll be some unfortunate losers in this that really get exposed from the risk of leaving it in the shadows versus having policies, enforcing them, and centralizing that data.
And just pointing out David Peach's quote right here is that this really needs to be part of a security awareness program, is just educating them. And then hopefully, per what David said, what you just described, that everyone using their personal Zoom accounts, this will happen less and less once they start to understand the value of that as well. Please get your questions in. We want them. I also dropped, you can see at the top of the screen and at the bottom of the screen, the link to register for next week's event. Remember, if you click on it, you will not be taken out of this event. You will very much stay in this event and not be pushed out. All right. How do you know, Doug? I'll ask you first. When you have moved between useful meeting insights, which is what we're always going from, because that's ideally what we want our data to be, to sort of a dangerous data hoarding territory. Like, oh my God, we've got too much. I don't know how to get rid of this. I don't know what's good, what's bad. Like, it's getting scary now.
well, retention has to be applied to this.
Right.
I mean, everything we have that accumulates information and we start hoarding stuff, we have to get retention. We also have to get reasons on why we have this retaining around, because conversations and the whole point of these tools are to make everyone more efficient in meetings and make people focus more on the conversation than taking notes or recording stuff. There needs to be someone who's in control there, and the access must be there to keep data around that is only reasonable and useful for that reason for that meeting. As soon as we get our hands around that, I think it opens up the ability to leverage this more and maybe use it as a strong tool to kind of action work that happens and discussed in the meetings. So, but the hoarding, yeah, we've seen this with email. How many companies took a long time to get a retention policy on email? There's retention policies on DMs. Now we're gonna have to do meeting notes and minutes. So,
But then there becomes the classic line, but what if I need it that one time?
well, that's always been a problem. I don't know if AI meeting notes are going to change that every single time in every situation, but you should be able to have at least a 30-day or 10-day some kind of retention period so that this way you're not hoarding this. The other problem is it's an unstructured data. And
Mhm.
unstructured data is really hard to classify. And if you're classifying it and you're saying that this only has a time to live for 10 days, and I'm making these dates up,
Sure.
like
Right.
it at least becomes manageable. So if we don't approach as manageable, you're just accepting a tool and you're taking the risk, and it's hard to back out of that risk as soon as you start doing it. Because I'm telling you, the business finds reasons. Any business finds reasons to keep it around that long, much longer for convenience.
Yeah.
So
Doug, just to kind of hop on your points, we've seen kind of cascaded retention policies be pretty effective, because some of the artifacts that AI will get from a meeting would include the transcript and then the video and an annotated video. And those are the artifacts that we recommend having the most specific retention policy and the shortest retention policy.
mhm.
Something like 30 to 90 days for a transcript or video is pretty reasonable. And then when you're removing that, you really reduce the risk exposure to the company, because keeping the generated data from those meetings is important, because it might trigger action workflows. There's summarized notes. Certainly everything's admissible, but it's a lot less risky to have that AI inferred data or the automation as a result. But those core artifacts of the video itself and the transcript, those should be deleted, and you should have a company policy on that, and that should be enforced and have that precedent set.
No, I agree. I agree definitely. Like the raw data itself is not useful. It's the insights and the actionable items that you want to share with the participants.
Yep.
That's the end result here that we want out of this. So this way we don't miss anything that's important, but at the same time don't over talk about something that's liable, right? So
Correct.
Yeah. All right. One more question, then we'll go to our very first game. And also, we have some questions that have come in. Let me see what we got here. Um, oh well, this. It's like, please tell me you didn't pay this person, because I'm going to. Joe, this is right up your alley. Besides guiding principles, what tools are out there that can be used for governance? Barbara Walker, who I don't believe works for Fora, might as well, with this as leading a question as she possibly can ask. It's a good one, though. I'm going to let you answer this one, Joe.
Thank you, David.
Fora is essentially this.
Yeah, and Barbara, we found that out accidentally. Where we entered the space with the mentality of let's get more insights from meetings and make them more useful. Because when meeting notes first started, it was just like a lot of AI slop. So we focused on getting better output. And what we kept hearing was, "Oh, what about liability?" Or "I want meetings recorded, just not my own." And that really informed us of the actual problem that companies were facing today, which is, let's get governance first. Let's get comfortable first. Let's not turn this into a surveillance tool, and then let's focus on the insights. So that was our kind of early pivot to this space. And now we support every single cloud: Zoom, Google, Teams. You don't have to change your behavior. We can enforce the policies for you. We can even look at the content, because one problem, and which is pretty funny and interesting sometimes, is people get recorded and don't realize it at the end of a meeting, where a meeting recording keeps running in a conference room. A C-suite member comes into that conference room, talks about something that should not be recorded, and it gets pushed to one of your gong or public forums in the company. And it happens almost in every company, but no one wants to talk about
Yeah,
it.
and also, even if you mention at the beginning, once you're 30 minutes in, everyone's forgotten. by
Yeah.
that point too. Doug, what?
Yeah, well, and people don't put mute buttons on too when they're supposed to. So
Not
I
Mike.
mean, we've learned that from COVID, right? Unmute
Yeah.
or off mute.
Exactly. All right. Are we ready for our first game, Josh? Can you start it up? I think we all have to click the Kahoot button. Is that correct, Josh? Text me is that how it works? We all have to do that? Josh? Yes, go to the game icon. All right. So everybody, if you look on your screen, you have your chat window, but it should be probably for everybody, probably the last icon for you. It looks like a tiny game controller. If you click on that, you'll see a window that says Kahoot. Does everyone see that? And in second, Josh, can you put the Kahoot screen up? Can we put the Kahoot screen up? How are we doing that? We'll get it up. This is our first time doing it this way, hence why it's going not as smoothly as I thought it was. Message me if you're having issues and I can try to do it. Nope, it's up. Great. Okay, so everyone's going to type that in 77001. Right now, 777. I'm doing it as well because I have not played this as well. I'm entering. Boom. I'm a participant. Oh, excuse me. I haven't typed my name in. Put in your real name if you could. All right. And I'm going to give this, I'm going to give it 20. I'm going to count down to 10 to make sure everyone's in. And then we're going to start the game. All right. Oh, look, everyone's getting in. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start it, Josh. Oh, here, let's hear the music.
Do you know what others are thinking? On the public interest.
All right. You'll see how this game is played. Which term has the most monthly search queries? Answer as quickly as you can. Speed is key for winning this game. It's not just answering correctly, but it's also correctly and quickly. So it's either the word transcription or the word recording. Which is the term that gets the most? You got 2 seconds. 1. The correct answer was transcription. I blew that.
Same.
So only 12. Now we'll see the score. M.R.R. Ricer is in the lead currently. All right, keep going. Let's see what the score. Transcription by 49,500. Recording only 33,000. All right. Now we only have 4 questions here. Which term has the most monthly search queries? All right. Let's see what we got here. I'm 0 for 1 personally. How are you doing, Joe and Doug? How'd you do in the first round?
I got the first one.
Well
What about
done,
you,
I
Joe?
did not.
All right. So
I was
Doug is
late
in the
and
lead
wrong.
among us. And I blew this one too. I'm 0 for 2 currently.
I'm 1-0.
All right. Who's in?
Back to the
Catherine
horse.
is in the lead. But Brian is very, very close behind. All right. Next round. See notes. Oh my God. 550,000 compared to insights and minutes. All right.
Significant.
Next one. Notice they're all meeting type terms here, Joe. These are all terms that have to do with meetings. Tone, mood, emotion. I don't want to go 0 for 4, I'll tell you that, but so far I'm 0 for 2.
You got this.
I appreciate your support, Joe. How'd you do on the last one?
I did great on the last one. I was happy. I was fast and right.
Oh, God, I'm 0 for 3 now.
Yeah. I didn't get that one.
Chris Blum, who's with the CISO series, by the way, she did not see this game beforehand, so I don't want any comment. But Joe, oh my God, is that you, Joe?
That's me.
Oh my God, you're right behind Chris. All right. Let's see what's going. Oh my God, emotion a lot more than mood and
I
tone.
went with mood.
Well, I did tone. I'm a real loser here. All right, I'm going to stay away from 0 for 4 here. Okay, consensus, priority, response. Oh, geez. Oh. All right. It obviously gets harder when there's more options. But this way, when we play the game, we can truly find out who the true winner is, of not just us, but the entire audience as well. Because we used to have them just put it in chat. I am
Oh.
officially 0 for 4. Responsibility. All right. This was, I wonder if anyone went 4 for 4 on this one. But let's see. How'd you do on that last one, Joe?
Not well. I got agreement and was wrong.
You know, the consensus.
I did agreement as well. I just assumed that like there were a lot of like contracts that said agreement.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah, well, responsibility. All right, the podium. Let's see who won. Third place is just the letter T.
Mhm.
Joe, you came in second. Very, very good. And first was, who is this? Chris. My God, Chris. You sure you didn't cheat, Chris? Chris, thanks for playing along. All right, you can shut this down. Now everyone can click out of the game. Now I'm thrilled everyone found the game icon. Click now back at the top with the chat icon so we can get back into the chat as well. All right. Now, I want you to know we're going to play that again. We're going to play a new game again. And then that one, we're going to actually be giving out a prize of an awesome CISO Series jacket, assuming you live in the United States. If you don't, then you're going to get a gift card. If you live in the
Chris
United
eligible
States,
for that?
everyone's eligible here. Everyone
Okay.
can compete in this one. You'll see. It's a new game. Oh, Chris privately messaged saying she entered at the last minute and tried to answer incorrectly, but she did not. All right.
Well,
now I
tried to answer correctly, and look, I only got one right out of 4.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I went 0 for 4. So
yeah,
Chris definitely has to look at my technique of trying to win.
Chris should go play Powerball today. So.
There you go. Oh yeah, go play Powerball. All right. So I want to come back to you, Joe, and specifically about 4. You did talk about, because Barbara gave this beautiful question, like what solutions are out there. Yours is, but I want to set people up because I want to give a little bit more background to what Joe was describing. His original business model was, hey, there's all this amazing information that's being collected from the company. And wouldn't it be great if you were at the C-level and you had this sort of eagle's eye view of what everybody was talking about and knew like what was top of mind? Like, it sounds fantastic. Look, all this information coming in the meetings, da, 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 da. And yes, that sounds wonderful as sort of like the grand poobah managing all that stuff and having that kind of insight into it. But then, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, more leveler heads came in and said, yeah, that's a great idea, Joe. Problem is there's a lot of privacy regulations and compliance issues attached to that. And so the shift went into that direction. It's like, before we answered that big question that you originally came to the table with, you have to deal with these issues first. And what's very cool about your model, and he showed me a demo, and by the way, we will have that demo available after the show. It's going to be published this afternoon. Plus, it'll be in our newsletter on Sunday. But what's really cool is whatever your compliance and regulatory policies are, the Fora tool will bring that to light for you to manage that. Have I described this correctly, Joe?
You did. And, what we wanted to do is be seamless and easy to go into your existing workflow. And we also wanted to take advantage of all the tools that people are now using to bring AI into meetings and bring that peace of mind to those tools, but also make it easier to extract the insights and still get the value from all that great data that you are collecting.
Yes. So, all right. So this is what I'm going to do. We have a poll here. Please, let's put that poll up. Can we put the poll up? Do we not have the poll created? Because I don't see the poll. He's on it. Yes, go to the game 2. All right. We're going to come back to that. Josh, let me know when that poll is live. Because when the poll is live, we want to, we're going to put it up for you. I'll set it up again a little bit later. All right, let's go to one of our questions right now. And let's see what we got here. Let me see. Okay, this is a good question. I don't know the answer to this one at all. And maybe you have some examples of this, Joe or Doug. I understand that AI recordings and transcriptions carry potential liabilities, from Andrew Aiken, who's asking this question. But are there specific examples of when organizations have been hurt by them? Can any of you answer that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll give some quick examples first, and Doug will probably have some great ones too. But for us, it's being used in a lawsuit when the employer did not know that the transcripts existed. That's when it truly hurts, because you don't have two sides of the story. So you have an employee who has access to a transcript. He or she brings that into a potential case. The other piece has been competitors having actual transcripts from calls of your company that leaked to them, either by an employee that left and was able to bring data with them, either on purpose or accidentally. So that confidential information was there as well. And then the hot mic moments has been the other piece where, the hot mic has been caught of a senior executive, either leaking sensitive data or exposing potential customer information that really required some pain.
By the way, and one of the other things you were telling me earlier, and actually I'm going to publish this poll right now. So here's the poll. Would you like a warm handoff to the team at Flora? Just please go ahead and answer that, because they do have a pretty darn cool tool. Go ahead and answer that poll. Please go in and answer that. Get your comments in. Oh, look, you see a lot of people would like a nice warm handoff to the people over at Fora. So here, I'm going to hide the poll from the stage, but you can keep answering it right now. But it isn't just text that's being recorded. It's audio and video as well. That's a whole other issue as well. Doug, you're nodding your head over and over.
Yeah, no, that's like a smoking gun of something misappropriately said in the wrong place. In a previous life, I supported e-discovery collections for litigations, and I'm telling you that if you're not aware of that conversation is unrecorded or available, it will come back and get you in a litigation. It's very hard to collect everything that opposing parties might know about when it comes to e-discovery. So this is expanding that.
Yes. By the way, you can keep answering the poll. We got a nice initial response to it. That poll will be up for the entire event, so please go in anytime. Just all you have to do is respond to it, and we will make sure you get a nice warm handoff to the nice people over at Fora. All right, let's. Okay, here. This is a good question. I'm sure actually there is a solution to this within Fora itself. I'm guessing. Barbara also asks, how do you think about different guidance based on internal meetings versus meetings with external participants versus meetings hosted by external parties? So all these variables all come into play actually through your tool, I know, Fora. How is this managed, Joe?
Yeah, so this is a really important nuance. The first piece that's important is that you have the calendar integration, so the AI can know whether or not it's an internal or external meeting definitively. That means being smart enough about your own affiliates so you know by domain whether it's internal or external. And then there's a really important piece with external meetings about expectation of privacy. That if it's an external meeting, you really need to make sure everyone knows the meeting's being recorded, or you're liable, especially in the state of California, where there's been a lot of litigious individuals suing larger companies for recording them unless they collect their explicit permission. So we see across our client base allowing to record both, but external meetings having much more strict rules around notification of it being recorded, while internal meetings can be a little bit more lax, but then the permissions of who can then see those meetings is really important as well.
Do you have any customers in Europe or maybe specifically Germany where those types of privacy laws are even more stringent?
Yeah, right to be forgotten, right?
Yeah, exactly. We do. So that's the other piece where companies have been hurt. We actually identify every single meeting participant. So if there is a request to be forgotten, we can go and see if that video is still retained, transcripts retained. Worst case, we just delete it based on the right to be forgotten, then they lose the artifact. Best case, we redact it. But for now, really deleting it is typically fine, and that right to be forgotten, but we're a single stop to remove that data. So just like Doug's experience in e-discovery, when you have that right to be forgotten request, we can then go out and find all the meetings, transcripts, et cetera, and then forget that person.
What about your answer to this question about how do you go about dealing with the guidance on all these different formats, Doug?
I mean, it's again, I think someone earlier said you have to do training, and you have to do almost like role-based training for people. So folks are responsible for, more business development conversations with outside customers and outside parties. It needs to be a separate role, a setup that where they can record and who has access to that. They should be able to have the ability to share it out external, but after it gets reviewed. Internal conversations that maybe like a compliance or an HR organization really need to have the understanding that raw information might be more valuable than just actions, right? So there needs to be a role for that. And I would say redacting options is probably going to be really critical here, because if someone speaks or maybe gets recorded and it's something that's really not relevant to the conversation, you should have the ability to redact it. And that's a lot of, that's a lot of oversight. And, it becomes very challenging if you're in a larger organization. So, but that granularity is important.
By the way, Dwayne Grant says, I would be very interested in the legal precedent that Joe just mentioned. That's quite interesting. I don't even know which one was he. Are you just like the right to be forgotten? I don't even know which one.
That's
Joint
GDPR, isn't it?
That's GDPR.
GDPR.
Yeah.
That's GDPR.
And probably there's probably
The
some
California. He
part
was referring to the
California.
California
Yeah.
lawsuit.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So they're actually, some lawsuits have been successful about being recorded without permission per instance. I think it's don't quote me on this, not legal advice, but I think it was like $5,000 fine per instance of being recorded without consent or permission. And there's some class action suits around that.
By the way, as a journalist working in the state of California, anytime I'm recording, I have to begin saying, "Hey, may I record this conversation?" So, just
Well,
a
when
good old fashioned law.
Teams and Zoom and all that started offering the recording option, there used to be banners that you had to put in, and you had to
Yeah.
be very careful where those participants were.
I'll say, David, what's interesting is that the best feature we've had that encourages more recordings is the ability to not have it record automatically. So if you have a certain domain, a location, a participant, and if they're ever in a call, it automatically blocks all recordings. There was an interesting question earlier about AI apps in Zoom as well,
Okay.
and controlling access there too. So it's really like Doug is saying, it's about the training, but then also making the policy be able to be enforced without making people work. Because if I have to join a meeting and then look up a policy document, I'm never going to do that. I'm just going to be in the meeting, either recorded or not. So you
Yeah.
need the technology to do that in the background for you.
Yeah,
Right.
And a lot of these tools also offer convenience for people working, remote and people working off of their personal devices. We need to have that focus too. There's got to be a conditional access so that this way the information can be controlled as internal.
Yeah.
By the way, Dwayne, I'm just going to read the last line of his comment here. He says, I have a feeling a lot of us just got a new entry on our risk registers. I mean, that's really what this whole conversation is about is, when you were not recording your meetings, this wasn't an issue. Now you are, it's an issue. I mean, it's simple. Like it's a little binary switch that went on. You've unleashed this can of worms or Pandora's box. Like you got this whole crap you're dealing with now that you didn't have before. But yeah, good way of putting it. All right, what time? Where are we at? Oh, we're in good shape. We're going to play our next game probably about 8 or 10 minutes. Again, another Kahoot game. I'm going to say this: if you're in San Diego and we're at my meetup, you're not allowed to play that game. Just so you know, because we played it live in front of our audience there. So any San Diego, I think I know there's a few saying Darius. Yeah, Darius is saying no. I was just about to call you out, Darius. Yeah, you're not allowed to play. But everyone else, you're allowed to play. There you go. And then he's crying here, unfortunately. All right, let's go to our questions. I think I have a few more from our audience too. Let me go to what do we got here? Oh, here we go. Let's hear from Aman Sood. Could AI note takers soon become the next phishing target for threat actors, a backdoor for attackers to steal sensitive transcriptions or even inject false information into meeting records, etc.? Yeah, why the heck not? That's a good question. Doug, Joe, you want to jump on this?
No, I think that's a hot topic right there because it's low visibility, high risk, right? So they're going to come after that. I mean, look at this week alone. I mean, Salesforce having a contact database that probably wasn't locked down as tight as normally people think. They went after that, so they will go after this information too, and they will go after to blackmail you. So,
had any evidence of this yet so far, Joe?
Yeah.
Nodding
So
your heads.
it's been scary. If you're a company that lets your employees bring their own note takers or record kind of individually, you're opening yourself up to this attack where you can have a camouflage meeting recorder join that looks like it's actually an employee of your company's. So it could be, first name, last name's note taker. They just couldn't attend the meeting, but you don't know whose note taker it is. And the meeting platforms don't do a good job unless you enforce authentication on those note takers. So whoever asked that question, it was brilliant. It's a really unprotected attack surface unless you have very specific.
That is such a simple way to steal.
Yes.
And how easy that is to do. Yeah,
and the use of that information, as soon as they get their hands on it, could be used many ways. The audio, video of any of it can be dubbed, right? And that's where we're saying that AI is being so AI tools are becoming so easy to use to trick people to further expand your attack. This data is no different.
Yeah. And it goes back to the convenience because when that happens, you typically have the same meeting URL. So you might have had a sales meeting a year ago with someone and they were able to take your sales URL from the calendar. And then that's where they're going to push that bot to join random meetings.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Good questions all the way around. So thank you, everybody. All right. Let's go to the next one here. So here we go. Oh, okay. Here we go. And this actually may be relevant to what you literally just said, Joe. From Stephen Horst, who is at VP of Global Sales of Murado. What about AI applications that right on top of MS Teams, Zoom, et cetera? How does that change your security landscape posture? I mean, is what you described an example of just that?
It is, and that's a huge exposure surface is the allowance of apps in those environments, because as Doug just said, the sensitivity of that data is very high. So we're seeing a trend of companies to essentially lock down their Zoom, Teams, and Google to not allow those apps, or to make sure that those apps are only sanctioned by the CIO, and we would recommend that. So many times either our app uses SSO to log in, so it's securely authenticated for every single meeting, or we just use the recording that are natively collected from the platforms.
And similar to that, this is a similar, very similar question in either one of you jump. What if I join the meeting on one platform, say Teams, and then also open Zoom and use that to share a screen and record? A, does that happen? Or I guess that could be done by someone maliciously from Michael Hiskey over at the CXO Security Forum.
Yeah, I love all the hacking that's going on here. We are hacking AI in meetings with that
There
one.
you go. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do that.
Yes.
Why couldn't you?
It's a session, right? It's just recording a session over a session. So it could happen.
One of the biggest venture funded areas in this note-taking space is technology that actually records your meetings without joining the meeting. It just hijacks the audio and video on your computer at an OS level. So that way you don't have the bother of having a meeting bot, but boy, does that start to get to a gray area.
Yeah, it's eavesdropping. That's
Yeah.
what's happening right there.
And then, I mean, this is again similar to the other question from Aman Sood. Could AI note takers become the next phishing target for threat actors, a backdoor for attackers to steal sensitive, transfer, even inject? Oh, no, this isn't the same exact question, but it's almost exactly the same. Inject false information. Yeah, I mean, this could be another phishing target.
Could be. And
Yeah.
we're seeing innovation in the space that these note takers are starting to be able to have conversations. So you can ask them questions. And then you have to ask yourself, what access to information do these note takers have to answer these questions? When you have the proverbial Siri in your meeting or Alexa in your meeting, how are you doing permission controls on what that bot has access to then answer those questions?
Do either of you, either through your app, Joe, or Doug, through your company, maintain a library of what all the privacy policies are all in all the communications places that you're at? Or do you just figure out, okay, we communicate with all these people in these locations. We have to do the, I guess, highest common denominator, not lowest common denominator, but in terms of security privacy policy, like how do you manage all that? So the idea is like Germany has a higher, stricter policy than this state may have, and yet sometimes you communicate with Germany and sometimes you don't. Or is it the idea that you just dial it up, maybe through your app, Joe, when you're speaking to somebody in Germany, and you dial it down when you're speaking to someone in Indiana, and just picking a state? I don't know how does that happen, if at all?
Let me jump in. I mean, traditionally in the global companies that I've always worked at, it's always taking the regional approach and what are the rules are, because you can't go, especially Germany's a perfect example. You can't just go from a high watermark with that and expect to not have challenges in that country. So the focus has to be in that regional location and what you're meeting the obligation of training people on privacy and protecting the people's privacy. GDPR is another good example there, right? It's like GDPR gets you a certain high level, and then you find out there's other regulations in the other countries that go further. So that's why you have to go more granular.
Does your tool manage this on a region by region basis, Joe?
It does. David, the first integration we built was with the company's HCM or HR platforms. So we pull in the org chart to understand the region of every employee. We also use external sources for external guests to see where they're located, where their home base is, make the best possible guess for that. And then we default to the most conservative policy for that meeting. So if there's an employee from Germany who is invited, the meeting will not be recorded. And we also record the status and reason for why it wasn't recorded. So it would say, regional policies cause no meeting to be recorded here. So we at least that way you're able to have a track record of the precedent being enforced. So if you do get into a legal situation, you can show that you made best efforts and use technology to, follow these policies.
And maybe this isn't in the current version, maybe future versions, but let's say we have someone in Germany, but like we really need to record this. Can we record everyone but the German person, or when it's done, delete them or redact it? Like, how do we manage that?
So shout out to Zoom and their new RTMS platform. It just got released and it allows you to be that granular, where you could have an individual speaker stream that does not get recorded or captured in any way. And this is really the first time there's been a simple way to do that. So I think Zoom is leading the way with that. I think they'll probably talk more about it at Zoomtopia, but that should be table stakes for capabilities in the next calendar year.
Zoomtopia is the name of their conference. Very similar to that with the Dreamscape movie with the fox, isn't it? Zootopia. I don't What do I know from this? All right. Oh, is it time for our next game? It is time for our next game. All right, load us up. Let's get it. All right. Remember, next game, and here I'll play the music.
It's time to play a brand new game.
All right, to play, remember, you have to click on the Kahoot icon. So look at the icons, the one that looks like the game controller. I'm telling you, I'm sorry. All San Diegans who are at our meetup are not allowed to play. That means you, Darius. So go ahead. Why? I'm not going to enter. Why am I entering? I'm not entering. I know we made this game. I can't play either. Why am I doing this? I won't play. All right, but I'm going to do a countdown to make sure everybody's in. 10, 9, 8. By the way, Doug and you, Joe, you're welcome to join. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I am closing this out. We can start this. All right. I will also mention the winner of this game. You got to pick the vendor that is this logo. The winner of this game, if they live in the U.S., wins a CISO Series jacket. All right, who is that? What company's logo is that? I would just mention, and if you're outside of the U.S. and you win, I'll send you a gift card. And if you've won a jacket in the past, I will send you a gift card as well. All right, get your answers in. The correct answer is it's Strata, which, by the way, San Diego company. All right, Ken is in the lead right now, not by a lot. Joe, you got in there. Good job, Joe. All right, whose company is that logo? I think you know that one. Problem is, we couldn't put the Fora logo in there, could we, Joe? Because it would be a little bit too much of a giveaway.
It's very literal.
Fortinet. There you're right. That is correct. Most of you got that correct. Fortinet. Good job. Everybody got that one right. Joe, you got that as well. Doug, you are up on the top 5 in the board. Good job, Doug.
Thanks.
But Ken is leading. Good job, Ken. All right, 3. We have 10 questions in total, so this will take a little bit longer than last time, but this is a fun game. All right, all these E companies, which one is it?
I think I blew this one.
I think I might have got it.
Correct answer is ESET, and most of you did get it. Did you? Either of you, Doug or
Yeah, I
Joe,
got
get
it.
it? You got it. Good job. Also, San Diego company, and they were also by the way, big hint. They were one of the sponsors for last week at our meetup. Here we go. Which cybersecurity company has this logo? all with the letter G or C. There we go. Jeez, there's a lot of G's here.
This was a guess for me.
Same. I feel like just being at Black Hat helped, though. I think seeing all these logos on the floor at once
Yeah.
refreshing.
I missed it.
It was Checkpoint. Now, for those of you who know, Checkpoint used to have a logo that was drawn literally by a child, and everyone hated it. Joe, you're still doing well. Doug, you're still holding on there. Candace and Brian are kicking butt. What happened to Ken? Ken fell. All right, who is this company? The answers are coming in. Now, by the way, the winner, all they have to do is just message me directly with their information, and we will get your prize out there. Tynes is the correct answer. Also, one of the other sponsors of our meetup in San Diego.
I'm
as
still
well.
up there. Look at that.
Brian, oh, Doug moving up to second, but look, Brian has an enormous lead right now. Brian could actually blow one of these and still be doing well.
Purple was a giveaway on that one, I think.
Yeah. All right, we actually still have 5 left here. All right, which one is this company here? You know, most of these logos have the actual company name in them. We just took that part out and just left the icon as well. Palo, most of you got that one. That was the gimme, it looks like. Palo Alto. Joe, what happened? You're off the board now.
Yeah, no, it's I keep picking A. I think there's something wrong with my mouse.
When in doubt.
All right, we got 4 left. Have fun with this, everybody. 4 more to go. Who is this company? Maybe we should make the guessing time. I don't know. I think we can make the guessing time shorter. Make it only 10 seconds. Force people to answer a lot quicker.
I like how you get more points for being fast.
Yeah, well, that's how we determine who the actual winner is. Almost everybody got that one. CrowdStrike.
I'm on fire.
There you go. Doug is on
I
fire,
got fire.
but Brian is more on fire. Ken is back on the leaderboard. All right. All T named companies. Tenable, Talon, Trend Micro, Threat Connect. Do all of these actually exist too? I think we've put a few fake company names in there.
I think those are all accurate names.
There you go. Trend Micro is correct. I think we have 2 left. Brian is holding on strong. Michael's on fire coming up. Brian, Doug, you better keep winning.
You're in striking distance, Doug.
Feeling nervous right now.
All right.
I think I might edge over everyone at this one.
This company was at Black Hat. I can say that. So you may have seen their icon, Joe. Their logo, excuse me. Dwayne says, I suck at this. Clearly, I need to take more sales calls. It is Halcyon. They've actually, by the way, sponsored a past San Diego Cyber Group meetup. And for those of you who are in San Diego who are here, who haven't come. All right, Brian and Doug, you were 100 away. All right, it's coming down to this last question.
Photo finish.
Brian, I'm coming after you.
Ken, I don't know if Ken can win here, even if you two lose. We'll see. All right. I will tell you that we chose this because it is purposefully deceptive. I will say that 2 of these have very, very similar looking logos. So you could easily screw this up. It is Okta. You see, and right there, Okta and Optiv. Those are the 2 companies that have incredibly similar looking logos. Did you get it right, Doug?
Yep.
All right, let's see. Did you win? 7 and Ken came in third. Good job, Ken, who was at the start of the beginning. And it's Doug. Oh my God. No, number 1 is Brian. Brian, if you are US based, do me a favor. I think you can DM me directly through this platform or send me a private message at david@csoseries.com with your name, your mailing address, and your jacket size. And we will get you a CISO Series jacket out right away. Thanks everybody for playing. A little bit longer than we expected, but we'll just shorten it down the next time. All right, in 10 minutes we'll be wrapping this up, and that means we want you to stick around for the meetup portion. And you know what? Here, let me also remind you that our poll. I'm going to just show it on stage right now. Our poll is still open. You can still vote to get the warm handoff to the fine people for all the cool things that Joe has been talking about. And also, if you just want to learn more, this is one of the things I've learned about talking with vendors. They can just educate you, and this may be a space you may not be aware of. Be nice to talk to people at Fora, being that they are very savvy at the subject. So please go ahead and vote in our poll. You will see the icon on your right. There's a little poll icon right there, and you can click on that right there. Let me also just remind you, I'm just going to do this one time, our call to action to remind you that please join us next Friday for Hacking Managed Services. I will not be here because I'll be in Boca Raton, Florida. If any of you are in Boca Raton, Florida, I'm going to be doing a live show there on this very day, the 12th of September, so a week from today. But our good friend and great reporter, Rich Straffolino, will be hosting the show. So please go ahead and do that. Click the register button and register for that. Do not click the X unless you've already registered as well. All right, let's get to our final questions here. Let me ask you, Joe, what have we not talked about so far that we should have been talking about?
I think one thing that's easy to forget about is actually looking at the content of the meeting itself. We were talking about some of these worst case scenarios of meetings leaking, et cetera. But I think there's a lot to be learned about what's being said in the meetings themselves and then labeling them appropriately. So, some good examples are hot mic moments on some of these sales calls or gong calls where an executive leader might come on and you don't want what's being shared on what would be normally a customer recorded call to be shared. So part of this security and privacy is making sure you're using AI to correctly label and classify the videos as well, and potentially even have retention policies for different classes of videos, classes of content.
By the way, that is a very good point. And I did definitely mention this at the beginning. By the way, many of you may not know your website, which is fora.day. I don't know anyone who has a .day subdomain or domain, excuse me. It's pretty cool.
Thanks.
Fora.day. What about the actual content from the meetings, Doug? That seems like, you want to use it, but there can be issues.
Yeah, there definitely be some issues. You got to maintain it, and I think we've said retention probably comes into play there, probably to make sure that it's available just for the amount of time it's needed. The sprawl is always the problem, right? And hoarding. So the more you keep around, the more dangerous it becomes, less relevant. You want to get rid of it. So that hoarding needs to be controlled.
Very good point. Well, let me ask the same question that I asked Joe just moments ago. What have we not talked about that we should have been talking about in our discussion?
I think the biggest control that we need to consider, and it's always identity, right? So how are we making sure that if this is part of a larger use of Zoom and Teams, how are we making sure that those are the people who have access to it and can access when they need it for legitimate purposes? So that tie-in is going to be really important to make sure that your internal meetings stay internal, board meetings stay in a neutral place, or anything that might be significant that needs to be governed by a classification as sensitive has to be in another place that a control like role base is going to be important.
Yes.
Doug brings up a really important issue. Is that, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, your tool is not designed for identity access management. That's, assuming somebody else is handling that. But if that is broken and you have someone who's, quote, identified incorrectly, then there's some serious problems here.
It's true. So we don't handle the IAM. What we do is inherit that and then assign that to all the first invitees and then participants. So it's another nuance people don't really realize is that whoever joins the meeting, it's very hard to connect them to the invite itself. So we've integrated with the platforms to get as much identity information of the actual meeting participants, and then tie them to the email address of the invitee, and then create an identity of that meeting itself, and then connect that to the role-based access controls. So all that's happening in the background with for each meeting.
Is there, because we've seen cases of this where we've seen, and we only have 5 minutes left, where we've seen cases of well, you know what? Here, let me hold this thought for a second. Here's my question, and and hold this thought because I do a few things that I need to just wrap up. But we've had cases where video calls have been faked, and it was an early generation, but now it's getting better and better in terms of faking, real video. What identity sort of tools are going to be needed, or maybe you've seen so far that can help with this? Hold that thought, hold the idea. Let me just present these last few slides before we whoops, let me do that again. Accidentally hit that. Hey, I want to thank Joe's company for. Remember, you can go to our poll and click on that, and we, the CISO series, will make the warm handoff to the fine people at Fora so you can learn more about them and their awesome solutions. Starting in just a little over 90 minutes from now, we have Cybersecurity Headlines Week in Review with Ray Espinoza, the VP of Information Security over at Elite Technology. Rich Straffolino will be hosting. It is a lot of fun joining the conversation that happens on our YouTube channel. By the way, we are evolving that show. Keep an eye on that show. It's going to be evolving to something cooler and greater in future dates. And then lastly, just mention, stick around for our meetup. Breakout rooms are going to be happening right after this show. All right. And if you want to sponsor a Super Cyber Friday, we actually have events available starting in October. Email us at info@cisoseries.com. All right. So my question that I asked you, Joe and Doug, let's close out this with the last 4 minutes we have. What have you seen? And if you haven't seen it, what are we going to need? Joe.
I would say employees becoming more familiar with how to use AI in meetings and have it be kind of a native skill. I think that's where we're lagging. You have people that are very much ahead of the curve and they record every meeting and they're responsible with it. But I think that has not permeated the organization.
Good point. Doug? Yeah, I think people training is always the strongest defense across the board. Not letting people in who shouldn't be in, not forwarding meetings to people who shouldn't be forwarded to. Having everyone identified who's participating in that is probably the biggest critical piece here. And it always comes down to the decision of the people who are scheduling it or people who are very vocal in the meetings. So training is huge there.
Yes, and I agree. All right. Huge thanks to Doug Mayer, who is the CISO over WCG, Joe Essenfeld, who is the CEO and the best of the three co-founders over at Fora. Just make sure that they know that. And I want to thank our audience. And it turns out the Kahoot was a big hit with everybody. Remember Brian, I believe that was our winner, correct? Brian was our winner on that last game. Contact me, Brian, David at CISOseries.com. Send me your information, and I will make sure you get an awesome jacket. That's assuming that you're in the state, you're in the country of the United States. If not, you're getting a gift card. Or if you've won a jacket in the past. I don't know if you've won a jacket in the past. I'll have to take a look. You tell me. Thank you, everybody. All right, this is what's going to happen. We're going to end this, and then you're all going to stay put because we're all going to then jump into the meeting rooms and have fun. Do not hesitate to move in and out of a room. It is not rude to move in and out of a room. Please, everybody, let's all do this. Stay where you are. We're going to do it. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Doug. Thanks to Fora. All right, Josh, let's end this. Let's start these meeting rooms.